The final battle for the heart of the Galactic Empire was about to begin. Earth's massive fleet, now joined by allies from across the galaxy, approached Centauri Prime, the Imperial capital. At the head of this armada was the EDF Avenger, Earth's most advanced warship, commanded by Admiral Elena Vega. On the bridge of the Avenger, Admiral Vega looked out at the sea of stars, her face set in grim determination. "This is it," she said to her crew. "Everything we've fought for comes down to this moment." As they dropped out of hyperspace, the full might of the Imperial Defense Fleet came into view. Thousands of ships, from nimble fighters to massive dreadnoughts, stood between the Alliance and their goal. At the center of it all loomed the Imperial Palace, a massive space station that served as both the seat of government and the Empire's ultimate stronghold. Emperor Zax VI, who had once dismissed humans as insignificant, now trembled in his throne room. "Destroy them all," he screamed at his commanders. "I don't care what it takes." The battle began with a fury unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Imperial ships unleashed a barrage of fire that lit up space like a newborn star. But the Earth fleet and their allies were ready. Using their quantum shields, the Allied ships absorbed the Imperial assault. Then, they counterattacked with weapons that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Beams of concentrated dark matter tore through Imperial defenses. Singularity bombs created miniature black holes that swallowed entire squadrons. On the ground, things were just as chaotic. Earth's mech warriors, led by Colonel Sarah Chen, no relation to the president, fought their way through the streets of the capital city. They were joined by Zar Toth berserkers, Saurian hackers, and freedom fighters from 100 worlds. In orbit, Admiral Vega spotted an opening. "All ships, focus fire on Sector 7. She commanded. The Allied fleet responded as one, concentrating their attack on a weak point in the Imperial defenses. For a moment, it seemed like the Imperial line would hold. But then, a massive Zar Toth warship, its hull burning and systems failing, made the ultimate sacrifice. It rammed into the largest Imperial dreadnought, taking both ships out in a spectacular explosion. The Imperial line broke. Earth ships poured through the gap, making a beeline for the palace station. Inside the palace, Emperor Zax was in a panic. "Ready my escape ship," he ordered. But as he tried to flee, he found every exit blocked. The Saurians had hacked the palace systems, trapping the tyrant in his own fortress. As Allied forces stormed the palace, the Emperor made one last, desperate move. He activated the station's self-destruct sequence, hoping to take his enemies with him. "My empire may fall," he snarled, "but I'll see you all burn first." But he had underestimated human ingenuity one last time. Dr. Sophia Chen, monitoring the battle from her lab on Mars, had anticipated this move. With a few keystrokes, she activated a device that Earth ships had secretly attached to the palace's hull. The device created a localized time dilation field. Inside the palace, time slowed to a crawl. What seemed like seconds to the Emperor was hours for the Allied forces outside. This gave Colonel Chen and her team more than enough time to fight their way to the control room and disable the self-destruct. When they finally reached the throne room, they found Emperor Zax, his face frozen in a look of fury and disbelief. As the time dilation field was lifted, Emperor Zax found himself surrounded by Earth troops and allies from across the galaxy. His reign of terror was over. Admiral Vega's voice crackled over the comms. "Palace secured. The Emperor is in custody. Victory is ours." Cheers erupted across the Allied fleet. On hundreds of worlds, people poured into the streets in celebration. The Galactic Empire, which had seemed invincible just months ago, had fallen. As news of the victory reached Earth, President Chen addressed the planet and their allies across the stars. "Today marks not an end, but a beginning," she said. "We have won freedom not just for ourselves, but for all beings in the galaxy. Now, the real work begins, building a future of peace and cooperation for all." The war was over. A child's death had been avenged. And humanity, once dismissed as primitive, had changed the course of galactic history forever. As Earth's fleets pushed deeper into Imperial territory, the true extent of humanity's technological superiority became clear. The Empire's once mighty forces crumbled before the advanced weapons and tactics of the human armada. On the desert world of Arrakis Prime, a key Imperial stronghold, the largest battle yet was about to unfold. General Maria Sanchez, leading the Earth's Third Fleet, faced off against Grand Moff Thorn, one of the Empire's most decorated commanders. They may have fancy toys, Thorn sneered to his officers, but they lack the experience of the Imperial war machine. We will crush them here and now. Little did he know that humans had more than just technology on their side. As the Imperial fleet moved to engage, General Sanchez unveiled humanity's latest innovation, the hive mind combat system. Using quantum entanglement, every ship and soldier in her fleet became connected, sharing information and reacting as one. The battle began, and immediately the difference was clear. Earth ships moved with impossible coordination, covering each other's weaknesses and striking at the slightest opening in Imperial defenses. On the ground, Earth's mech warriors, piloted by humans neurally linked to their machines, tore through Imperial lines. Their movements were fluid and unpredictable, guided by the combined instincts of thousands of linked minds. Grand Moff Thorn watched in disbelief as his carefully laid plans fell apart. "Impossible," he muttered. "How can they predict our every move?" The truth was, they weren't predicting. They were reacting faster than thought itself. As the battle raged, other races joined the fray. The warrior clans of Zartoth, true to their word, arrived in their ancient but fearsome warships. The Exorian scholars brought their vast knowledge to bear, using their understanding of Imperial systems to hack and disable enemy ships. Even the Lumerians, a race of energy beings who had long stayed neutral in galactic conflicts, chose to intervene. They used their mastery over light to blind Imperial sensors and create illusory fleets, sowing chaos in enemy ranks. In orbit, Admiral Yi of the Earth Fleet faced off against the Empire's most advanced dreadnought, the Imperial Fist. The massive ship, nearly twice the size of Earth's largest vessel, bristled with weapons. "All ships, execute Maneuver Omega," Admiral Nye commanded calmly. In a dazzling display of coordination, Earth's ships began to move. They wove between enemy fire, using each other as shields and launching synchronized attacks that overwhelmed the Imperial Fist's defenses. On the bridge of his dying ship, the Imperial captain watched in awe. "How?" he gasped. "How can they fight like this?" The answer was simple: unity. While the Empire ruled through fear and division, Earth and its allies fought as one. Their strengths combined into an unstoppable force. As the battle for Arrakis Prime reached its climax, General Sanchez led the final push. Earth mechs, supported by Zartoth berserkers and shielded by Lumerian light bending, stormed the Imperial Command Center. Grand Moff Thorn, realizing all was lost, attempted to flee, but he found his escape pod disabled, hacked by Exorian tech experts. As Earth forces breached the command center, Thorn faced General Sanchez. "You've won the battle," he spat, "but the Empire will never fall." Sanchez looked at him with pity. "You still don't understand. This isn't about winning or losing. It's about freedom, something you and your empire never valued." With Thorn's capture, the battle for Arrakis Prime was over. Another key Imperial world had fallen, and the path to the Empire's core worlds lay open. News of the victory spread rapidly. On hundreds of worlds, oppressed races rose up against their Imperial overlords, inspired by Earth's example. The Empire, which had seemed invincible for so long, was now fighting for survival on 1,000 fronts. Back on Earth, President Chen received the news with solemn satisfaction. "Every victory brings us closer to justice," she said in a worldwide address. "But let us not forget the cost. We fight not for vengeance, but for a future where no child, on any world, will ever suffer as Timmy did." As she spoke, shipyards across the solar system continued their tireless work. More fleets were being prepared, more advanced weapons developed. The war was far from over, but its outcome was no longer in doubt. Humanity, once dismissed as primitive, had become the galaxy's greatest hope, and they would not rest until every world was free. In the days following the fall of the Galactic Empire, the galaxy entered a new era of hope and uncertainty. The once mighty Imperial Palace on Centauri Prime now served as the headquarters for the newly formed Galactic Alliance. Representatives from Earth stood side by side with delegates from hundreds of alien races, all working together to forge a new future. The main chamber, once Emperor's Axis throne room, now buzzed with activity as species that had been enemies for centuries learned to cooperate. President Chen, now serving as Earth's representative, addressed the gathered assembly. "We have won the war," she said, her voice echoing through the vast hall. "Now we must win the peace." The challenges were immense. Entire planets lay in ruins, their populations displaced by the conflict. Imperial loyalists still fought on in distant corners of the galaxy, and age-old rivalries between different alien races threatened to erupt into new conflicts. But humanity, having led the charge against the Empire, now took the lead in rebuilding. Earth's advanced technology, which had proven so effective in war, was now turned to the task of healing. On the ravaged world of Koros, Dr. Sophia Chen oversaw the deployment of nanite swarms that cleaned toxins from the soil and water. Within weeks, forests began to regrow on land that had been barren for centuries. Admiral Vega, who had commanded the final assault on Centauri Prime, now led peacekeeping missions to former Imperial strongholds. Her fleet, once instruments of war, now brought aid and hope to the galaxy's most desperate regions. Not everyone was happy with the new order. On Earth, some voices called for humanity to seize control of the galaxy for themselves. "We defeated the Empire," they argued. "Why shouldn't we take their place?" But President Chen and the majority of Earth's population rejected this idea. "We fought for freedom, not dominion," she declared in a powerful speech. "If we become conquerors, we are no better than those we defeated." This commitment to equality and cooperation won Earth many allies among the former imperial races. The Ixorians, impressed by humanity's wisdom, offered to share their vast libraries of knowledge. The warrior clans of Zar Toth pledged their strength to defend the new alliance. Even some former enemies came around. Grand Moff Thorn, once a feared imperial commander, now worked tirelessly to convince other imperial holdouts to join the new Galactic Alliance. "I've seen the future," he told them, "and it's brighter than anything the Empire ever offered." As months passed, the galaxy began to heal. Trade routes reopened, connecting worlds that had been isolated for generations. A new Galactic Senate was formed, giving every world a voice in shaping the future. But perhaps the most profound change was in how the different races of the galaxy viewed each other. Species that had once seen each other only as rivals or enemies now worked side by side, learning from each other's strengths. On the 5th anniversary of the Empire's fall, a grand ceremony was held on Earth. Representatives from every world in the Galactic Alliance gathered to unveil a memorial to all those lost in the war. At the center of the memorial stood a statue of a small boy, Timmy Johnson, the child whose death had sparked the conflict. But around him were symbols and figures representing every race that had suffered under imperial rule. As the memorial was unveiled, a moment of silence fell over the gathered crowd. Then, slowly, a song began. It started with a few human voices, then was joined by the melodic tones of the Ixorians, the deep rumbles of the Zartoth, and 100 other alien harmonies. It was a song of remembrance, of hope, and of unity. As the music swelled, many in the crowd found tears in their eyes, or whatever passed for eyes in their species. President Chen, her hair now gray but her spirit undimmed, looked out over the gathering. "We came together in war," she said softly. "Now we stand together in peace. This is the true victory, not the defeat of an enemy, but the forging of a family that spans the stars. As night fell, the lights of 1,000 worlds shone brightly in Earth's sky. The galaxy, once divided by fear and hatred, was united at last. And at the heart of this new era stood humanity, no longer newcomers, but leaders in a grand cosmic community. The story that had begun with tragedy had ended in triumph, and the adventure of a united galaxy was only just beginning. As news of the attack on Earth spread across the planet, a wave of grief and anger swept through every city, town, and village. Millions of humans mourned the loss of innocent lives, their sorrow quickly turning into a burning desire for justice. In New York City, thousands gathered in Times Square. The usually bright and bustling area was now somber and quiet. People held candles, their faces wet with tears, as they stood in silent solidarity. Huge screens that normally displayed advertisements now showed pictures of Timmy Johnson and the other children lost in the attack. Similar scenes played out in cities around the world. In Tokyo, a sea of people dressed in black filled the streets. In Rio de Janeiro, the famous Christ, the Redeemer statue was lit up in blue, the color of Earth's oceans, as a tribute to the fallen. Even in the smallest villages, people came together to share their pain and anger. Social media exploded with activity. The hashtag Remember Timmy trended worldwide, with billions of posts expressing outrage at the Empire's cruelty. Videos of Timmy and the other children playing and laughing went viral, reminding everyone of the innocent lives lost. As the day wore on, the mood began to shift. Grief gave way to determination. Rallies sprang up in every major city, with crowds chanting for action against the Empire. Signs reading "Never Again" and "Earth Fights Back" appeared in windows and on buildings. In London's Trafalgar Square, a young woman named Emily stood on a makeshift stage. Her brother had been one of the children killed in the attack. With a shaky voice that grew stronger with each word, she addressed the massive crowd. "They thought they could break us," Emily shouted, her words echoing across the square. "They thought we would cower in fear, but they don't know humans. We don't break. We don't run. We stand and we fight." The crowd roared in response, their cheers heard for miles around. As night fell, President Chen made another appearance on global television. She stood in front of a simple black background, her face solemn but determined. "My fellow humans," she began, "today we have tasted the bitter cup of sorrow. But tomorrow, we will show the galaxy the true strength of humanity." She paused, letting her words sink in. "I have authorized the full deployment of our secret fleet. As we speak, our brave men and women are preparing for battle. The Empire believed they were punishing a weak race. They will soon learn how wrong they were." Across the world, military bases that had long been dormant sprang to life. Soldiers said goodbye to their families, boarding massive transport ships. Veterans who had retired years ago showed up at recruitment centers, demanding to be allowed to serve once more. In orbit, the Earth Defense Force mobilized. Hundreds of smaller ships, hidden in underground bases and secret space stations, joined the massive Dreadnoughts. It was a fleet unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, built by human hands and fueled by human determination. Admiral Jane Rodriguez, commander of the Earth Fleet, stood on the bridge of the flagship, the EDF Vengeance. She looked out at the assembled armada, her heart swelling with pride. "All ships, report in," she ordered. One by one, the captains of 700,000 dreadnoughts confirmed their readiness. The comm channel filled with voices, each one representing a ship crewed by thousands of humans ready to fight for their home. As the fleet prepared to jump to light speed, Admiral Rodriguez addressed her forces. "Men and women of Earth," she said, her voice calm but filled with resolve. "We go now to face an enemy who thought us weak. We go to avenge our fallen and to protect our future. The road ahead will be hard, but remember this: we are human, and humanity, united, can never be defeated." With a brilliant flash of light, the first wave of Earth's fleet vanished into hyperspace. The battle for the galaxy was about to begin, and the Galactic Empire was about to learn a painful lesson about the consequences of underestimating humanity. Back on Earth, as news of the fleet's departure spread, a mix of anxiety and hope filled the air. In homes and public spaces, people gathered around screens, waiting for news of the coming battle. The entire planet held its breath, united in its desire for justice and its faith in the brave souls who had gone to fight for Earth's future. The galaxy was about to change forever, and humanity was leading the charge. As Earth's massive fleet disappeared into hyperspace, the Galactic Empire remained blissfully unaware of the storm heading their way. On the imperial capital world of Centauri Prime, Emperor HFY sat on his golden throne, convinced of his own invincibility. Little did he know that humanity's secret weapon was not just their ships, but their incredible technological advancements. Deep within a hidden facility on Mars, Dr. Sophia Chen and her team of brilliant scientists worked tirelessly. They had spent years developing technologies that would give humanity an edge in space warfare. Now, it was time to reveal their creations to the galaxy. "Activate the quantum communication network," Dr. Chen ordered. With the press of a button, a signal raced across space, faster than light itself. In an instant, every ship in Earth's fleet was connected, able to communicate and coordinate as if they were side by side. On board the EDF Vengeance, Admiral Rodriguez watched in awe as real-time data from the entire fleet appeared on her screens. "This changes everything," she whispered. But the quantum network was just the beginning. Dr. Chen's team had developed energy shields far more powerful than anything the Empire possessed. They had created weapons that could pierce any known defense. And most importantly, they had unlocked the secret of instantaneous travel. As the Earth fleet approached its first target, an Imperial outpost on the edge of Empire space, they put these new technologies to the test. The Imperial commander on duty nearly fell out of his chair when alarms blared. One moment, his scanner showed empty space. The next, hundreds of massive Earth ships appeared out of nowhere. "Impossible," he gasped. "Raise shields. Call for reinforcements." But it was too late. The Earth ships opened fire with weapons unlike anything the Empire had ever seen. Beams of pure energy sliced through Imperial shields like they weren't even there. In less than 5 minutes, the outpost was reduced to floating debris. News of the attack spread quickly through Imperial channels. At first, many dismissed it as a hoax or exaggeration. But as more reports came in, panic began to set in. On Centauri Prime, Emperor HFY called an emergency meeting of his war council. The mood in the ornate war room was tense as generals and admirals argued about how to respond. "It's just one outpost," General Krug growled. "These humans are lucky, nothing more." Admiral Vex disagreed. "Our reports suggest they have technology far beyond our own. We must take this threat seriously." As they debated, more news arrived. 3 more Imperial bases had fallen in rapid succession. The Earth fleet was cutting a path through Imperial space, and nothing seemed able to stop them. Emperor Zax's face turned pale. For the first time in his life, he felt fear. "How?" he demanded. "How did they hide this power from us?" The answer, of course, lay in humanity's greatest strength, their ability to innovate and adapt. Back on Mars, Dr. Chen and her team continued to monitor the fleet's progress. They made real-time adjustments to shields and weapons, constantly improving their designs based on battle data. "We've always been underestimated," Dr. Chen told her team. "The Empire thought we were primitive. They never imagined we could surpass them so quickly." As news of the Earth fleet's victories spread, other races under Imperial rule began to take notice. Many had suffered under the Empire's cruel regime for centuries. Now, they saw a glimmer of hope. On the planet Sora, home to a race of peaceful scholars, people took to the streets in celebration. They had long admired humans from afar, impressed by their creativity and spirit. "The humans fight not just for themselves, but for all of us," declared Saurian leader Amazon. "We must support them however we can." Similar sentiments echoed across the galaxy. Races that had once viewed humans as primitive now looked to Earth with newfound respect and admiration. As the Earth fleet pressed deeper into Imperial space, their numbers seemed to grow. In reality, their advanced technology allowed them to be in multiple places at once, striking with unimaginable speed and precision. The Galactic Empire, once thought invincible, found itself fighting for survival. They had killed a human child, believing there would be no consequences. Now they faced the full technological might of a united Earth. The galaxy watched in awe as humanity revealed its true power. The age of imperial rule was coming to an end, and a new era was dawning, one where the human spirit would light the way to a brighter future for all. Certainly, I'll write the first part of your story in about 600 words, using simple English in a third-person style. I'll aim to make it interesting while following your guidelines. The vast expanse of space held countless wonders, but none as formidable as the Galactic Empire. For centuries, they had ruled over thousands of star systems with an iron fist. Their massive fleets and advanced technology struck fear into the hearts of all who dared to oppose them. But even they couldn't have predicted the storm that was about to engulf them. On a small blue planet called Earth, humans had only recently joined the galactic community. They were seen as newcomers, barely worth noticing in the grand scheme of things. The Empire tolerated their presence, viewing them as nothing more than another race to be controlled and exploited. Little did they know that humans possessed a fierce spirit and an unbreakable will. It all began on a sunny day in New Washington, the capital city of Earth's united government. 8-year-old Timmy Johnson was playing in the park with his friends. They laughed and chased each other, their eyes sparkling with innocence and joy. Timmy's parents watched from a nearby bench, smiling at their son's happiness. High above the atmosphere, an Imperial cruiser entered Earth's orbit. Captain Zorn, a high-ranking officer of the Galactic Empire, sneered as he looked down at the blue planet. "These humans are becoming too comfortable," he growled to his second-in-command. "It's time we reminded them of their place." With a cold heart, Captain Zorn gave the order. A beam of energy shot down from the cruiser, aimed directly at the park where Timmy played. In a blinding flash of light, the beam struck its target. The explosion rocked the city. Screams filled the air as people ran for cover. When the dust settled, a horrifying scene greeted the survivors. Where the park had once stood, there was now only a smoking crater. Timmy's parents, who had been thrown clear by the blast, crawled to the edge of the crater. Their hearts shattered as they realized the truth. Their beloved son, along with dozens of other innocent children, was gone. News of the attack spread like wildfire across the globe. Within hours, every human on Earth knew what had happened. Grief turned to anger, and anger to rage. The unprovoked killing of innocent children was a line that should never have been crossed. In the United Nations building, world leaders gathered for an emergency meeting. The room was filled with tension and barely contained fury. President Sarah Chen of the Earth Federation stood at the podium, her face a mask of grim determination. "Today," she began, her voice steady despite the emotion in her eyes, "the Galactic Empire has shown its true colors. They believed they could intimidate us, break our spirit. They were wrong." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. "For too long, we have hidden our true strength," President Chen continued. "We hoped for peace, but prepared for war. The Empire thought us weak, but they will soon learn the terrible mistake they have made." On screens around the room, classified images began to appear. Secret shipyards hidden in asteroid belts, massive construction projects concealed beneath the surfaces of moons. And at the center of it all, a fleet of warships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Ladies and gentlemen," President Chen's voice rang out, "I give you humanity's response. 700,000 dreadnoughts, built in secret over the last decade, each one more powerful than anything in the Imperial fleet." Gasps of astonishment filled the room. Even those who had known about the secret program were shocked by its scale. "The time for hiding is over," the president declared. We will mourn our dead, and then we will have justice. The Empire sought to teach us a lesson. Instead, they have awakened a sleeping giant. We will not rest until every world suffering under Imperial rule is free, and those responsible for this atrocity are brought to account. As the assembly erupted in cheers and applause, the wheels of war began to turn. Across the solar system, hidden bases sprang to life. Soldiers boarded ships, weapons were armed, and engines flared to life. In orbit around Jupiter, the first wave of the Earth fleet assembled. 10,000 dreadnoughts, each one a miracle of human engineering and determination, prepared to jump to light speed. The Galactic Empire had no idea what was coming. They had killed a human child, and now Earth would respond with a force that would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. The Earth fleet's first major offensive against the Galactic Empire was about to begin. Admiral Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the EDF Vengeance, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing their target. Nexus Station, the Empire's largest shipyard and military hub in this sector. All ships, prepare for battle, she commanded. Remember why we fight. For Earth, for Timmy, for all those who can't fight for themselves. In an instant, the 10,000 dreadnoughts of the first wave dropped out of hyperspace, surrounding Nexus Station. The Imperial forces were caught completely off guard. Alarms blared across the station as panicked officers scrambled to mount a defense. Admiral Rodriguez didn't waste a second. Deploy the shockwave disruptors, she ordered. From the Earth ships, waves of invisible energy pulsed outward. Imperial shields flickered and died. Their weapon systems went dark. In a matter of minutes, the feared Imperial fleet was reduced to floating, powerless hulks. On board Nexus Station, Imperial Admiral Cross watched in horror as his mighty armada was neutralized without firing a single shot. "What sorcery is this?" he growled. But the battle was far from over. As Imperial backup forces arrived, they found themselves facing an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. Earth ships seemed to appear and disappear at will, using their advanced quantum drive to jump in and out of battle faster than the eye could follow. Human pilots, their reflexes enhanced by neural interfaces, outmaneuvered Imperial ships with ease. Earth's energy weapons cut through Imperial armor like paper, while their own advanced shields shrugged off enemy fire. In the heart of Nexus Station, Admiral Cross made a desperate decision. "Activate the Omega Protocol," he commanded. "We cannot let this station fall into enemy hands." A countdown began as the station's reactor was set to overload. Admiral Cross believed this would destroy the station and a good portion of the Earth fleet with it. But he had underestimated human ingenuity once again. On the EDF Vengeance, a young lieutenant named Raj Patel noticed an unusual energy spike from the station. "Admiral," he called out, "I think they're trying to self-destruct." Admiral Rodriguez didn't hesitate. "Deploy the containment field," she ordered. From the Earth ships, a web of energy spread out, enveloping Nexus Station. When the reactor exploded, the massive blast was contained within the field, protecting both the station and the surrounding ships. As the dust settled, the outcome was clear. Nexus Station, the pride of the Imperial fleet, had fallen to Earth in less than an hour. Admiral Rodriguez turned to her crew, a fierce pride in her eyes. "Send word to Earth. Nexus Station is ours. The path to the Imperial core worlds is open." Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread like wildfire. On countless worlds, oppressed races who had suffered under Imperial rule for generations began to hope. Rebellions that had been crushed time and time again found new strength. On the planet Zartov, known for its warrior culture, the clan chiefs gathered in their sacred hall. For centuries, they had resisted Imperial rule, but always been defeated. Now, they saw a chance for true freedom. "The humans have proven themselves true warriors," declared Chief Kavorn. "We will join their fight. Let the Empire tremble before the combined might of Earth and Zartov." Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Races that had once viewed humans as primitive now sought alliances. The Galactic Empire, which had stood unchallenged for millennia, suddenly found itself beset on all sides. Back on Earth, President Chen addressed a jubilant global audience. "Today, we have struck a mighty blow against tyranny," she said, "but our fight is far from over. We will not rest until every world is free from imperial oppression." As she spoke, more Earth fleets were being prepared for launch. The shipyards of Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn worked around the clock, producing more of the advanced dreadnoughts that had proven so effective. The galaxy was changing. The age of imperial rule was coming to an end. And at the forefront of this cosmic revolution stood humanity, once dismissed as insignificant, now revealed as the champions of freedom for all races. The battle for Nexus Station was over, but the war for the galaxy had only just begun, and humanity was ready to fight until the very end.